Hi, my name is Leandro Facchinetti, and let's write some code together, shall we? What we have on the menu today, first of all, is a new streaming setup. I don't know if you were here last Friday, but my streaming computer broke, so now I am both going to code as well as to stream using the same computer, a one computer setup. I used to have a two computer setup. It's a one computer setup now. So one of the things I want to do is to test if the quality of the stream is as good as it was before. I don't think it will be as good, but if it is acceptable. So let me know if you're watching this, and you can write on the chat or some comments telling me what you think the quality of this stream is going to be overall. Not only in this screen where it's only my camera, but also when we start coding. And let's see if coding will affect the performance of this stream. It is a Mac Mini with the new M1 processor, so it was supposed to be good enough for this. We'll see. Let me know what you think. But also, what we have on the menu is to continue working on Notestrator, this app that allows you to draw on top of your computer screen. So if you have one of these tablets, just like this one, and you are doing a presentation or a stream, that sort of thing, or a video call, and you want to share your screen and you want to be able to take notes or highlight things, or well, just draw on top of your computer screen, that's what this app allows you to do. And it is an Electron app. I am writing it in JavaScript, and we're going to continue what we left off on Friday. So we left the app broken, and we are going to continue working on it, and we'll figure out why it's broken. And we will continue this refactoring in which we are completely breaking the architecture of how Electron apps were supposed to work. So Electron apps are supposed to have a main process, which is like your browser, and then this main process manages several renderer processes that are like your browser tabs, but because it's Electron, it's a desktop app, they are your windows, your multiple windows in your application. And what I am breaking the architecture is I want to be able to run code from anywhere and in any context. So I want to go from one window, run some JavaScript in another window. And traditionally, the way you would do that is with message passing. You would send an event to the other window saying, I want you to treat this event, and then the other window is going to receive the event and is going to run whatever code it needs to run. But the problem with this is that your feature becomes this two-headed beast. You have to know where you're sending the message from and where you're receiving the message at, and these two places need to collaborate, so you end up with this code that is split in the middle. And I don't like this separation. So what I introduced is essentially eval. It is an event, but the event just receives some raw JavaScript to interpret. The JavaScript is represented as a string, and then we just run that JavaScript. So let's jump into the code and continue with what we were doing. So first of all, so this is a new computer. On Friday, I streamed on Windows, and many things on Windows are broken in the app. We still have to figure out what's going on there, but we are back on Mac, so the app is supposed to work. And I npm installed, and for whatever reason it updated the package JSON, but I am not going to worry about this. I'm just going to commit whatever this is, and we are going to continue looking at the code. So here's something interesting. I didn't even remember this when I ran the app, but yeah, it just says this is broken. So we probably need to continue there. So whatever I did on Friday, that's what I left off. And I know that I commented out these two lines that break on Windows, and they really break. And to be able to test stuff, we commented out these lines. But effectively what we want is, well, except for the this is broken stuff, we want to, on a Mac, we don't want these lines to be commented out because those are the lines that make the window transparent, which is why I'm able to draw on top of this, this screen. So I'm going to commit this as well because I know I want this. And let's go to the this is broken part, figure out what we were doing and continue from there. So this is on the menu. We have two windows in the app. One of the windows in the app you don't exactly see because it's transparent. It's the window in which I am drawing. It's a transparent window that I put on top of your whole screen. It goes from the upper left to the lower right. It's a single big transparent window. And then I have another window which is the menu. And I want, so to clarify what I was saying before, so I want whatever the case may be. So if I am here on the drawing window, and here is my little lovely drawing, I want to be able to run some JavaScript at the menu window and vice versa. And in some cases, so as I said, there is also the main process. I also want to be able to trigger some JavaScript to run from the drawing window into the main process, or whatever the case may be. From the main process, I want to be able to run some JavaScript into the menu or run some JavaScript in the drawing. Just want to be able to access whatever, whenever. And this breaks the assumptions of the Electron platform because you were supposed to have the separation between the processes for security reasons, for performance reasons and whatnot. But in our case, I think it's fine if we don't worry about this and just break all the barriers and use the flexibility of JavaScript, which is an awesome language because it is so flexible. So yeah, let's go ahead, continue with this. So it says here that this is broken. So what's happening here is I want to change. So when the settings change, for instance, when I click here, the settings change. And when the settings change, I need to send an event from the menu to the drawing window in which I have this custom cursor that you see on the screen right now. It is an SVG that I move around, and it needs to change. It needs to change colors, it needs to change width, and it's not changing. Oddly enough, it seems like, oh no, it's no longer the case. On Friday, it was changing the settings of the drawing, but it was not changing the custom cursor. But now it's completely broken, and we even get some errors in the console. So yeah, it is really broken. Let's see. So the way that this works is I have this function that I call immediately to set things up when the app starts, and then whenever I see a change on the form, so whenever you change the color, for instance, I run this settings function. Let's see what it does. It goes from the drawing window to the main process, invoking this event called eval, which is the crazy event that breaks everything, in the sense that it breaks all the barriers between the processes. And then I say where I want to run this. I want to run this in the drawing window because I want to update the settings. And then I run, what do I want to run? Well, I want to run this JavaScript. And then here I am saying that I want to get a hold of the settings, which are the serialized version of this form. So to serialize it, I have to do some handstanding. I have to say, convert this into form data, convert this into search params, and then convert it into an object, and then convert it into a string. Is this what I want? Yes, I want to convert this to a string, because then at this level, which is the JavaScript running on the drawing on the menu area, because I escaped here this tagged template literal, I escape out. So at this point, I am in this position where I'm running JavaScript from the perspective of the menu. And then in that situation, I want to generate a string, which I'm then going to interpolate into this JavaScript that actually is going to run in the drawing window. So it's just a fancy way of passing the data through. And then here I am finding the drawing in the drawing window. Then I'm setting its settings, and I'm trying to find the custom cursor and updating. Oh, that was not what I meant to do. So let's see. it seems like there is no good error message here on the console. It just says you should go to the renderer console for the error. Well, I will do that, but let's take this one step at a time. So this is on load. This is, well, settings, right? Because it runs both when you are about to start as well as when anything changes in the settings. And the indentation here is wrong. That is odd. Yeah, the indentation of this whole section is wrong. Okay, it is better now. So what we are doing here is just, well, essentially trying to figure out what is running and what is not running. So I'll say settings, and this is running on the menu perspective, and this is running on the drawing perspective. Let's see where this fails. On load is fine, settings menu is fine, settings drawing is fine. Then when I change the settings, settings menu, but no settings drawing. But it's weird because it ran the first time. Isn't that weird? Well, I guess there is one more place where I can put an eval or put an alert, which is here. And I don't think I can alert in Node.js, can I? This is something interesting. What happens? First of all, I had caps lock on, and it seems like OS X is not case sensitive. Well, I formatted the disk in a non-case sensitive way. Anyway, in any case, so what happens if I alert in Node.js? Yeah, alert is not defined. That's what I thought. So over here I cannot alert, but I can console log. Okay, let's trace this through. So on load runs fine, and then the settings menu, and then I see the eval, and then the settings drawing. Now let's change the settings and trace everything through again. So settings menu goes through. Eval does not go through. Oh, it goes through. Yeah, it goes through. All right. So eval goes through, but then it fails. So we are over this line, and then there is the target. Well, it was supposed to get the right target, and in this case, in our case, the target is the drawing. So I can console log main drawing, and I'll call this just main. On load, then the settings menu, then over here main and main drawing, then settings drawing, and then when I change settings menu, main drawing. Okay, so the problem really is happening when we get down to execute this JavaScript. But that's really weird, isn't it? Because it never gets to this line. It never gets to the first line. So is it like a syntax error? It could be a syntax error. Let's console log the JavaScript that I'm attempting to run and see if it is syntactical. Yeah, so in this case, I can tell that everything is alright. Then we change the settings, and then it goes through again. And then in this case, is this syntactical? Is there any syntax error over here? Well, I don't see any syntax error. Do you see a syntax error? I think it's alright. I think this is, in fact, the same as before. So it's not even running the first line. Well, here's something we can try real quick. We can remove everything but the first line. And I was thinking about just commenting it out, but since this bug that we are facing is so absolutely crazy, I think I'm just going to literally remove the text. Oh, okay, that is interesting, isn't it? When I change the settings now, it does work. No errors in the console or anything. So the problem is with my code. Is the problem with the first line? Well, of course the problem is with my code. What am I saying? Isn't the problems aren't all the problems always with the code? So okay, the problem was not the first line, and I was afraid of this line. This line is crazy, right? It does some crazy kind of interpolation between parallel worlds. Is this the problem? I'm going to remove my alerts. Okay, so that was the problem. So the weird thing is that it doesn't even alert, but maybe it just alerts if the whole script executes and goes through. I don't know. Can I open the developer tools on the menu? No. It's telling me to go to the renderer console, but it's hard to go to the renderer console. It's not impossible. I could always go to the place where I define the window, make it bigger, may open the developer tools in there. But I am not feeling it. Well, let me first check that if I comment something out, it will go through. Yeah, I should have removed the alerts. No, it does not go through. Oh, that is fascinating. That is absolutely crazy. The presence of this code here, even if it's commented out, the presence of this code here makes things not go through. Well, let me comment out all my alerts. I'll just keep the console logs because they don't stop execution. And with just my alerts, and with everything commented out, there's no code for it to run. So why is it failing with code that is not even supposed to run? Apparently there is something crazy about the way execute JavaScript works. Yeah, well, is there any other parameter I can pass? User gesture. Well, I could just pass user gesture through, but come on, that's not the issue. I am at loss here. This is a absolutely crazy bug. One of the craziest bugs we have seen in the streams, right? I mean, it must be somewhere deep down into how execute JavaScript works. I think so. Well, what happens if now I'm just testing the behavior of this execute JavaScript? I don't believe in JavaScript anymore, I don't think. So do I show up? I mean, yeah, of course I do. And no errors there. And then also, very importantly, the settings drawing line doesn't show up. Let's see, if I just add this line, I'm not going to add the whole block, I'm just going to add this line, I'm going to comment it out, so it shouldn't run. Okay, it is not causing errors. Okay, what happens if I put these 3 lines, but I comment them out? Don't really want the lines there. I just want JavaScript to stop being absolutely crazy at me. Okay, so far so good. And of course I cannot uncomment this. Well, I can uncomment the first line, but I cannot uncomment the other 2 lines because I didn't bring this line yet. Since that line is kind of crazy, I don't want to really bring it in right now. Okay, what the hell is going on? Let's alert document. Document is the only fancy thing I'm using here, so let's see. Do I show up? And then I'm going to alert document. And I'm sure I have access to document. I have used this before. Yeah, here it is. And there it is. So how come when I use it, everything falls apart? That is absolutely crazy. I have one idea, but it's a bad idea. Yeah, so I'll explain my idea. There is something that happens with this execute JavaScript stuff, and it is that it returns. Just realized that my levels were not too loud. This should be better. I think so. We'll see. In any case, as I was saying, so there is this thing that works with execute JavaScript. The way it works is it tries to return whatever the block of code returns. In our case, we are just doing assertions. We are doing statements. We are never really returning anything. We are not doing any kind of query. And doing const equals something does not produce any value. So it should not fail in that way. And I think that the error message that occurs is different. I think that the error message says something like I failed to serialize this and that. And it's not the message that we are getting. Yeah, we are getting this script failed to execute, which is something different. And an error is never thrown with document query selector, by the way. Or it shouldn't be. I don't know. I'm not aware of any exceptions that would be thrown because of query selector. So my crazy idea here is that maybe this is trying to return something or whatever, so I can just use an immediately invoked function expression to discard any values that this may have produced for whatever crazy reason. And that seems to fix it. And I kind of mentioned this idea on Friday, but it's absolutely crazy because this line was not supposed to return anything. I mean, check this out. When I am in Node.js and I const hello equals 3, I get back undefined. So I shouldn't be returning any value from this. But it seems like execute JavaScript is crazy like that. So maybe that was the issue all along. Let's try this again with the real code that we actually want to run. Cross fingers and change something on the menu. Okay. And it's even changing the cursor. So that was a fun half an hour to find such a stupid bug that I kind of had an intuition that this could be the case, but Electron is crazy. I don't know what Electron is doing in this execute JavaScript function. Okay, let's see what we changed, because I'm sure there are some debug stuff that we want to remove. Yeah, I think that was it. We just needed these two freaking lines for the thing to freaking work. All right. Now that this is working, we have to take a step back because I don't even remember the train of thought that we had here. So let's see. Well, first of all, the indentation of this is wrong, but we can quickly fix that. Now, anytime that we change something about the settings, we want to forward this change to update the custom cursor. And I think that that is complete. That is working. So I can move on with my refactoring, finding more places where I have these custom events that I want to generalize using eval. But I can also think about what I'm doing in these two lines. The problem with these two lines is that at this point in the menu, all I want to say is, please update the settings on the drawing. But I have to do it in two steps. I have to assign the settings and then I have to go and update the custom cursor. And that was for legacy reasons. We had these two places where we were listening for a custom event that was not the eval event. So we were listening for this settings event. And we had to change these two places. So I did the right thing in these two places. But I think that what we should do is to extract a function called like update settings or set settings, which is kind of a weird name, set settings. But in any case, I think that we need to have a single function that we call from this perspective, because this is not a place where this information should live. The information that we need to update all these things should live in the drawing itself. So we are, I guess, in essence, replacing an event with a function call, which is always better because function calls are just synchronous, plain stuff. We know how they behave, except for this crazy stuff with execute JavaScript in Electron. Apart from that, function calls are better than sending events. That's my philosophy anyway. You may disagree, and let me know if you have good reasons to disagree. You may be right, I may be wrong. In any case, let's go to where we have the drawing, which is right here. And there is one more reason why I want to do this change, by the way, which is right here, there will be a this.settings stuff because we are setting it there over there in the other place, but it's never clear from reading this body of this guy, this component. It's not clear that we have that variable going on. So I think that it should come before the undo stuff. So this is so that Control Z works. And I think that what we are writing now is more relevant. So it comes first. And I'll call this update settings. I'll actually call it set settings, which is kind of a stupid name, but it is correct with respect to what we are doing. And then we can say this settings equals settings, which is kind of silly, but we can do whatever we are doing to update the custom cursor. Which is right here. Let me put this below. I usually split my screen into horizontal panes, but on streams, I think it works better if it's vertical. Okay, so what is this doing? Does it make sense to bring this whole body up, or does it make more sense to call this function? Well, there is a lot of things going on over here. Yeah, there is a lot of things going on here. I think it makes more sense for me to say this query selector cursor update with settings. Now, having done this, I can go to there, where we were before, where we introduced the immediately invoked function expression, and then just in the drawing right away, I can just call the set settings with my settings. So it becomes a single line, actually. That's sort of neat. Let's see if my refactoring works. Yes, my custom cursor is changing colors. See, it's green now, and no errors in the console. Perfect. So that worked. But there is one step further, I guess. I don't think we need the immediately invoked function expression no more, because set settings is a function that doesn't return anything. So now we shouldn't run into that weird mistake. Yeah, so that was half an hour to find a fix that we immediately threw away because of this refactoring. Isn't that how things usually go? Isn't that something? Yeah, all right, I really like the way this reads now. So from the menu perspective, from the menu's perspective, we have a settings function that will invoke eval on and will execute some JavaScript on the drawing. And in the drawing, we find the drawing, we set the settings with a serialization of the form. So this part of the code is just saying, yeah, you over there, the drawing, update your settings. And then I just call this function in two places. And then from the drawing perspective, I remember the settings for future use, and I update the settings on the cursor. Maybe the cursor should know that the settings have been updated in some other way. It could listen for changes, but that could be kind of hard. I would probably have to have a custom event for this to occur. Because I don't really like how the drawing has to be aware of the cursor. But that's not a big deal. I think it's much better than before. Let's see what we changed. So we introduced these set settings, and I really like how now this stands out as something that I was thinking if maybe we should just call. Hang on, I'm going to explain my idea. So I paused there. No. Where is it? Oh, it is called set settings. Okay, so I was pausing there because we have the drawing window and the menu window. And then on the menu window, we need to know that we need to initialize the settings, and then we need to run this again on change. And I was thinking if maybe we should have this initialization be triggered here, but I don't think it makes sense. Yeah, so I think that what we have is best. All right, very small change, but we just shuffled the responsibility around. Good. What do we do next? Well, I am happy with what the form looks like right now. I just went over this and I'm happy with what it does. So maybe I can just look for IPC renderer and look for somewhere else where I want to do something. So here I am already invoking eval, that's all right. Invoking eval, that's all right. This is just require, invoking eval. This is a custom event that I want to change into some eval stuff. So here I have my ignore mouse events, and the handler for the event is right up here. So instead of doing it this way, so first of all, let's check that this feature is working. So I can draw on top of my screen, but I can come here to this mode that reads like show, and then I am not drawing, I am now interacting with the application underneath. And when I go back to drawing mode, I can draw again. So that's what this ignore mouse events is all about. And I have a handler for this custom event right here. And it's cool that the handler lives right next to the code that triggers it. So it's not terrible. But I know that I will want to generate this HTML as a static HTML that I just store it in the file system. So to be able to do that, I am required to not have this kind of code like this. And then I think we'll need to come up with more and better abstractions on how to do this, but we'll see. So I already know that I want to send, not send, but invoke. And what do I want to invoke? I want to invoke the eval event. And let me search for eval somewhere. And I guess I'll just copy this. And then over here, I want to change something. Well, I want this to run on the main process. And the code that I want to run is something similar to this, but not quite. So I guess, what did we have here? We had this dot value. Okay, so I guess we'll do that trick where we interpolate at this level, at the menu level, and we look at this dot value equals true, right? Because a value is, well, I can just hard code this actually. There you go, single line, simple stuff. And I can remove this. And then let's see, so I am invoking eval on the main process and I am saying set ignore mouse events false. So yep, all right, does this work? Well, first of all, we need to know what set ignore mouse events returns, because if it returns anything, then in our eval handler we will return that, and that may blow things up. But let's just copy this change to the other place where we know we need it. Okay, so there is some more stuff in here. Yeah, let's not deal with that right now. Let's just see if ignore mouse events false works. So I can draw. Oh, it did not work, did it? Because I can still draw after I'm in show mode. Yeah, that is not working. And do you see the screen flicker sometimes on the stream? Because I see the screen flicker and it never does. So that's one of the streaming issues. Oh, now it flickered for like a full second. And I don't see that on the stream preview, but I saw it, so it may be a problem with my monitor. I don't know. Okay, no other changes that we need to consider, so it's just this. And I don't know. Let's console log hello to see if this is running. It is not. Oh boy, there we go. Oh, I was gonna say there we go again, but it was a simple syntax error. That's a relief. Oh yeah, so the problem is that I removed the code that would handle the event. It was up here, but on the show event, I still do the same thing. I still trigger the same event. Now, it is weird that the syntax error did not come through. Oh, the syntax error would happen on the console window for the menu. All right, it's hard to keep your head straight when you have all these contexts evaluating JavaScript. So to really test this, we need to come back here and revert this change so that the handler is still there to handle this down here. This way we'll be able to go into the other mode and then come back. So yeah, I am in show mode and then I'm back in drawing mode. So now I proved that my change worked. Now I can remove this and come back here and then think about it. So the shortcut situation I want to keep. I am not sure what we are going to do about the shortcuts. But this custom event we want to change. So on change, I want to return some JavaScript. Just like that. Of course, this will be true. Now, yeah, we still have to think about what we are going to do with the shortcuts. That's going to be kind of annoying. So I can draw, go to show mode, interact with Visual Studio Code, go back to draw mode, and draw some more. Excellent. Let's commit what we have. Let's look for the next instance of IPC renderer. It's sending the hide event. Well, that will be easy. We just do that. Oh, no, it's not that easy. Come on. Eval. And then we can do this over here at this level. And then I don't need this handler. And I need to indent this. And this is some shortcut situation that we don't know how to deal with yet. Let's see if we can hide the drawing window. I should have tested this before, but let's see. So I can hide my drawing window, and that's all right. And then I can come back here to draw, and I can draw some more. Or I can hide the drawing. Perfect. Let's find another one, hide menu. Well, I guess we're going to do the same as before, so I might as well just have my eval snippet handy. I'll keep it in this buffer. So instead of sending a hide menu, we invoke eval. And for the JavaScript that we want to run, we paste this in. Let's test hiding the menu. Hiding the menu. So I can draw and the menu is hidden, and I can hit the keyboard shortcut and the menu comes back. Cool stuff. Let's go to the next one. Quit. Alrighty, get the snippet, paste it in, and indent. Just call quit, which is a function that we have defined in the main process. Let's see if I can quit. I can. And then reset drawing. Now that is interesting. I could have a reset function on the drawing that I call from here. So it's a similar story to what I did 10 minutes ago, the refactoring I did. Maybe this knows too much about how to reset the drawing. Right? So let me just copy the snippet. And in this at this time, I don't want to run the code in the main. We want to run the code in the drawing. And the code that we want to run, well, first of all, let's just run this. And this does have the immediately invoked function expression, but this replace children may return something, so that may make more sense. And then we can erase this part. Let's see if resetting the drawing still works. So I can draw something and I click on reset and it resets. That's all right. So let's commit what we have. We made this change, this refactoring, in a couple places. And I believe I like everything in there. Now let's do the thing where we extract a function. So let's go to our set settings, and maybe we can say this reset. I don't think we need any arguments. And let's see the code that we have to run. It is this, and I'll change drawing to this. So now I can just say reset this guy, and I believe I can get rid of the immediately invoked function expression for the same reason we got rid of the set settings immediately invoked function expression, because this reset doesn't return anything. So how about we test this? So I am drawing and then I reset. That works. Excellent. And now I really like how the drawing component has a bunch of functions. It really becomes like a component where you can this really becomes like a component where you have a bunch of functions that you can call. So hey Arya, it's great to have you here, and you're saying that line 1029 is your favorite. Is this your favorite line? Because it doesn't really make sense. Or does it look like some kind of emoji thing? By the way, Arya, since you're here, I have a question to ask you. I changed the way I am streaming. I used to have two machines, but one of my machines broke, and I'm no longer to use the two computers that I used to use for streaming. So now I'm using a single computer. The computer that you see on the screen right now is also the computer that is hooked to YouTube, and it is running OBS and doing all the compositing, and it's connected to the camera, to the microphone and everything. So I believe that this lowers the quality of the stream, but I don't know if it's noticeable. I think I noticed. I think I noticed some drop frames when I tried this last time, but I may be wrong. So let me know what you think. Are the frames smooth? Do you see my hand moving smoothly? Does it look good to you? And yeah, it looks so crazy. This line looks crazy because it is, well, I like this style of having all the ideas in a single place, which means that the idea of what is the keyboard shortcut that triggers this and what is this going to look like, for instance, and then how does it behave? I like to have all these ideas about a feature in a single place, and it's not common to have this. Many people prefer to separate things by technology, so they would have HTML in one place and styling in a different place and behavior somewhere else, and they would use some kind of naming convention to wire everything together. And I find that coming up with these names and then following the name through all the different places where the name occurs, I find that kind of confusing. So I prefer to have everything in a single place. The problem with that is that you end up having to write code that looks kind of crazy like this. So what is happening here in this situation is I have some JavaScript code that is my Electron app. In the JavaScript code, I can show you where this starts. Oh, I think it may be easier if I just search it like this. Yeah, so in my JavaScript code that is my Electron app, it starts right here. It creates a window to show the menu. Then in there, I start writing HTML. And then when I'm writing HTML, I sometimes escape back to Electron land. And then in some cases, I generate from Electron some client-side JavaScript that is not supposed to run on the Electron side of things, but in the window itself, in the the browser tab, essentially. So there are all these parallel universes happening at the same time here in the code, and I have to escape back and then escape back in, and then you end up with things like this. And it's not even the worst, I think. I mean, usually I come up with the ends of things are like barfing a bunch of delimiters. Let me search for menu equals again. So it doesn't seem to occur too much in this code base. But in some other code bases, it's just like absolutely crazy. The ending of the thing is like a bunch of delimiters. It doesn't even make sense. So you're saying that it looks great. If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have noticed anything. Picture looks sharp and in sync. Screen looks good. Awesome. I was afraid it wasn't as good, or that I would have to lower the settings and whatnot. We'll see on Wednesday when we do a stream with multiple people on Skype, and we'll have multiple NDI sources, and we will be coding on my computer. It will be crazy. If the computer can handle that, it will handle anything. But I know for sure that if I'm not streaming, when I stream, I do full HD, so it's 180p. When I'm not streaming and I'm recording, so I'm recording for editing, and I don't do that often anymore, but I sometimes do it. Then I used to record in 2K, and I know that for sure when I switch to this camera where it's just me and it tries to render the thing in 2K, if I am doing other things on the machine, I drop frames, which is like super, super annoying. And when I watch back, I'm like, disgusting. Okay, so let's see if we can finish this before we wrap up. I have 4 minutes. So this is, yeah, this is looking good. Same stuff as before. We can just blaze ahead. Oh, it's actually not that easy. Oh, I just have to say that I want to go to the drawing. Then I can run this. So it's similar to the one we had before, I think. The one we just did. So we have the keyboard shortcut stuff, and then we are invoking eval on the drawing, and we are sending for the drawing window to run this lovely little line that we'll call undo. See, it's similar to the thing we just did. Where it was invoking eval on the drawing and finding the drawing and sending reset, and this time it sends undo, and the next one will say redo. So how about we just do that, and then we test everything in one invocation of the app. And that's the last one. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so in particular, Aria, if you can pay attention, in particular, I want to see how smooth it is right now when I'm going to start the app, which is going to trigger a whole app to load, and it has to do some browser rendering, and that is going to take some of my GPU, and things may not be as smooth. So check this out. Was it okay? Let me know. And for sure I can tell that the app starts a lot faster on this machine because it is a better machine than the one I used to use for streaming. The problem is that this one is not dedicated to running the app. It's also running OBS and everything. And yeah, it's gonna be nuts on Wednesday. Yeah, the whole routing situation actually became simpler because it's a single computer now. We'll see. So let's see. We have here, we changed, I guess reset was already good, and then let's draw some things, and then undo, and then redo. Oh, redo is calling undo. Isn't that fun? Okay, so draw, and then undo, and then redo, and then undo, and then redo, and we are good. Let's see, we can commit. And you know something? Oh yeah, it looks smooth. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so the funny thing about my computer dying is that I used to treat that computer as if it was gonna die any moment because I knew it was. And then after the stream on Thursday, it did not turn on anymore. And I wanted to like double check that I had nothing on the computer, that I didn't forget anything. I was like, how can I do this? Can I plug this computer into another computer? There is on a Mac, there is something called a target disk mode where a computer acts like a disk, and then I could see if something was still missing. But no, I had a better idea. I just rewatched the stream from Thursday, and I realized that, yeah, I did not forget anything in there. I had everything pushed to GitHub no files that were of interest were in the machine, so I could just toss it. And yeah, I'm not getting a new one. I'm not gonna spend like $1,000 on a new Mac just so I have a 2-computer setup, if this 1-computer setup is good enough, I guess. Good enough is the word, I guess. All right, so these changes look good, and let's just go through this before we wrap up. So let me see if all the invocations of IPC renderer are invoking eval. A single event to rule them all. Love this. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to look for IPC main, so there is the single event to rule them all, and then everything else is commented out. So yeah, we broke Electron. That's what we did. We broke Electron. We broke the separation of processes, and we can just pass JavaScript as strings to be run anywhere we want, which makes everything a lot simpler. And that's it for today. So thank you all for coming, for subscribing to the channel, for supporting me on PayPal, Patreon, and GitHub sponsors. So yeah, I can show you this. This is interesting. It took the longest time, but I finally was approved for GitHub sponsors. So if you want to support me over there as well, if that is your thing, you can now. All right. So I see you tomorrow over here, and I believe that the plan is we are going to do the audio production stuff on Tuesday, and then we are going to do coding for Reaper on Wednesday. So I think that is going to be the schedule, and we'll see. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.